Hello, everybody. Mix up, shall be there. If you just tune in, just a reminder, this was a radio in London. The media was to go to out here for an awareness. Producer me. Interfere with you, making sure we fit because this week, I'm heavily loaded. And some night everybody it be any brisem. It be so a hostel. It be so ya butoyem. It be so a thought provoking. It is all here, not just the way you deal, and not the nose and an hour for an hour do. As usual, and now be your four, your mobile canon, your messia this weekend is almost full house. Apart from AM number one accountant, Mr. Emmanuel Ashley, baby, I will be able to. That is the old baby, a white day, Crovia more day. Yes, it's a crone, a more day, any more throw. Menkas and Besicron, a more throw, any more day. It's too quiet as a brand of Virginia. Mr. Emmanuel Ashley, I chose to fight it. The oil of Virginia will be making sure that. Over the more tronadic and I also like to extend my special thanks to Mr. Kwati. Ayo baya oba broom, oba bruni, oba nikunu Mr. Kwati. You see on electricity for omuni kabia because oba no rahana is go. Mr. Kwati, a special shout out to you. But it's also a baby of Crobia, so I will a papa into Crobia was like I will put on my big shout out. And I be your father, your monka, Mr. Nuno, my number one British command. He's in the house today. And Mr. For some time now, and Kaims and Nazia, very, very, very important. So he's always been important. Nazia and why very popular. It's awareness, is the background in what has said. Because so many bookings are coming in, and we will make sure that we do the justice and keep him here. And Samia Mother Kulinda Heart and also Wafanaja. As usual, and they do be other bonities and yes, I'm going to work. I nearly polipo and the minimum column. Why two is the minimum so the this are many souls and so the minister no any so I am someone actually they just a chronometron. What is one shall bet ya? Bidiana and they do call Ghana and some my coach cobra my edinina ababe abebo. Now before I would like to give a special thanks to Mothers of Uganda for throw Michiao PTC for UK around the world and especially those in Ghana. Michiao will be brave. Michiao will be won't you for them mama sorry. Obaya no rush to your house is and Louis for and our meeting and our meeting meeting person can just a big shout out. Now before say a say my big for I'll start without much I'll do no. Mr. Nuno na attending catch it. Mr. Nuno, good evening.
Welcome back to my feed. I'm here to do justice to what I do always do justice to every Sunday. That is go through whatever is happening in Ghana, dissect, dilate, and give you the best. Yes, that's right. Give you the best as we can. So stay tuned and then sit back and enjoy. If you can't contribute, please do so. You are welcome. Thank you.
Yo, Mr. Nuno, you better was it. Sammy, good evening.
Good evening, man.
And how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been okay.
It's been okay. The year has been okay. Also, profuse some.
Well, it's a brown back one. If you have one in your pocket, do I do one more?
As say we'll be on my mobile. In the day, anyone anymore. Deeper.
What we have, and we are not selfish.
And then if you are so your content, who did it done for any new.
Oh, you can call names.
It's a for the mom for many remark session on Musha, Nipa, panel listen, of the or she baby who need your but no her baby my mama to her. Oh my and fashion it say
We know where.
and you do not yeah no brightness no I hear you
Versus me.
hey that's how the over studio how it's just our privilege and I come with the quiet yeah come this
It,
yeah
it actually reminds me of those times when we were growing up. You write a love letter to your girlfriend. The brightest of the day has made me take this pen to write to you.
I hope you are as fit as a fiddle.
Then you could write the kiss and you put the words to it, and then Holland. Then you put some words to it.
Oh, she get here drop on the video.
Yeah. Now, so as usual, Mr. Party, one man on electricity for any car. To the extent said, your boss go cool Jesse Bones on classes there, a bright studio house, so sorry, I won't light bill. Now, and then no ask the work on next level. My sister say, Mr. Manasseh, there's who could be more true. No more there, Virginia.
And more true.
You want true. You want slippery. You want true.
I'm just looking at the rhyme.
Toronto, right?
I won't know.
And I see Mr. Quarters so I could be a war hopper. It's no company. I want
I don't know.
Yes, a coded place the intimate exclusive.
Okay.
When baby, okay. And then Mr. Quarters, baby, I will be out. It is only baby, I shanty. Yeah, mouth, your boa passion. Now it's here for this week. Yakodaya is Abroa and Sembe Brena, but Mammy Mama one of the topics are also a trendy with Ghana. The woman in Britia Bo, a year former a year Kojochi Kata or year national security, why Jumama Ghana during the PNDC law, PNDC time. No, only JJ Juma or African Union, no, and somebody be brave and papa or die this week. And what Danny Ben Kumso, and you know why mammy being so Adani Ben Kumso and penning for Omobro Jenny. I know it's a bit controversial, a bit money party, a simple behavior, one meaning and now obey us and us to be a dog or not some. No, when ANC and Penufua, or best survey Ghana, as your madam penny or mother or moving so we will give them a big shout out and I say a Bemma or more Yakomabusia phone not yet some penny fui and Penufua or more Yashromo this weekend. And you know, one himself this week, yet budget, a 2022 budget, or say is the most forward looking and thought provoking. Fix the country movement and are back out of the senses in media. Also reconsider the decision to abolish road toll. Road toll operationalization suspended. The road minister noticed me ever to this year I said Ghana digital idea. Profane cram digital yeah. Digitalization, e-levy will cripple businessmen, and we have to resist it. A Momo Agent and Association. Names are Ghana Momo Agent Association. A Momo tax accrued 6.5 billion next year. That's it. But the question is, Ghana and Yoma Bibre, Canadian. Was there accountability on those ones? You see, and next you had now someone when him say yeah budget 2022 yeah man a different FBS a budget a one sense people delve into Ajinkwana you look into Ajinkwa say woman headmaster or has to my British government how on your buy and buy was none then they said in some big room now budget boom pimpimu also so I would say me also can't be let me hear your thoughts. Is a good budget is a budget for the people. 26th, no, you bet you have to manage and momentum. If you want now, your baby, say a lawyer for, I think we should reconsider how people are enrolled in the law school. A president of Utah, Kennedy Sanchez, the mom named a young form control and the star entry 499 field law student, Fanke Kufuado, and semi by before no, you already, yes, or my idea. See, marry into Munkofi and Munko. Or maybe only because my mama is the way the area comes away. Now, since their president are back up, yes, sister, 499 students, no, and your mom, you know, and almost all my now, what's what was some moment is that as we all know, no, you may talk about yellow fever. Remember in the early 60s, 70s, 80s. Now, even at the early part of the 90s, it was a big thing. It's Ghana, and especially when you're traveling outside Ghana now. Yellow fever, and you need your card. To some extent, it may be yellow fever, but yeah, now, I feel I say, ya konkana, but this week, yeah, sorry, I see, I tell some pap, you see, yellow fever killed 29 persons in the Savannah region. It's winning in February and I Namswa this week, yeah, Baby Chichumu, and I bet Pinsin Pinsimu, also for wide brown number as usual is 020814487. Sorry, 020814487. Many will feed you know, Uncle Baby. And so, yeah, the Abroad some moment in this week breaking news about meaning any of my main peer this week. Unfortunately, Omo Ada Omo so and the first one, me per se, Rebecca Nahwas, the former transport minister, is it Ativo? Ativo. This week you get to say, Papa, Mami, and what Danny being comes to Sana, security, national security, former national security penny, a year, Papa, so Adani being comes to. I mean, first our story, a fan starting a year, Mr. Mimiso. Get to say, Mammy, what to say, Mammy, what was your initial reaction?
Yes, thanks very much for the opportunity to just give my thoughts on this as well. Like everything else, we have to sympathize with the family of people. It's sad. It's sad. Every death is unwelcome news, but we have to work on it because it is death will always visitors come when it has to come. But the most painful is when the person is your loved one. That is what is saddens some of us because she's a lovely lady. Time in government wasn't a pleasant one because she had to be removed or whether she was forced to resign due to some circumstances. But the contribution to the plight of women is well noted, well documented. That in the constituency she encouraged women to do more for themselves. And she brought what I would say the mirror skills and the mirror enforcement to women in the constituency. As I'm saying, sad as it is, we have to remember her for a contribution, even for a short while, to the First Republic or this Republic, because she has done something that we all should take note of. Irrespective of how short a spell is, we have to acknowledge
Jack Uti will stop radio.
the politics in Ghana will be well documented in an hours of our history. So, our condolences and our sympathies to the family.
So, Sammy, Mammy Browse, in this week, Mammy, so, yeah, no, I would like to kill two birds with one stone. Yeah, I think it wasn't enough. Yeah, because sorry, I say, what do you remember
Yeah, no, that's well, starting with Jifati, I think Service Nuno has already said quite a lot already. So anything I say will just repeating what Mr. has alluded to. In addition, perhaps maybe if I may, uh, in terms of the remembrance of her, I didn't really follow much of her politics. I mean, the only time that I remember she being kind of in the, you know, the Buzz branding saga, where unfortunately, as she said, she has to basically be removed and succeeded by a few people. I mean, it comes to the territory, isn't it? In terms of the being in politics, these are some of the things that happens. I mean, she's maybe in a perhaps not in a very delightful way. She's an example of how we should play politics in terms of if someone is non-performing or accused of perhaps maybe doing something. So then the remover, she took it to the chin, I would say, and she went into private business herself and did well for herself. So, I mean, on a personal level, I don't really know much about her. On the political level, I mean, she probably would give thanks to President Obama for appointing her in that transfer ministry position. So she's done it. She's paid her vote, I would say, to the nation. With Chikata, it's even difficult to speak about Chikata, and because actually probably I wouldn't say it's difficult because it's actually quite easy because of the depth of not only the depth of knowledge but the depth of information about his achievements. I chanced on some of the circulated biographies going around about some of the revolutionary antics and the revolutionary times in Africa and on the continent, areas that he actually went to help with those revolutions and bringing some kind of stability. Some people will argue in other nations, including Angola and all of that. And if you bring him back home, I always say that we have stability, we have security, and part of it you probably want to give it to Chikata. But when he take the realms of as the national security chief, there was a lot of good attempts in Ghana, but none of it were successful. You probably would think there are other people involved, but when you have someone as chief security who in the 20 where he wasn't there for 20 years, say, but I mean, I'm looking at the PNDC into the NDC era, in the Fourth Republic, the stability that we've enjoyed in the Fourth Republic, arguably, you probably would say,
Jack,
he is the
what's
guy
up, Grady?
that has actually given us the Fourth Republic in terms of its security, in terms of us the continuation of the democracy that we all enjoy today. There is quite a lot. I'm sure you as time goes on, you hear a lot of things coming out. I remember growing up, knowing Chikata, hearing the Chikata's name when we were growing up as kids. You hear Chikata, Chachu, and yeah, and Kojo, yeah, they are. Oh, they know. Oh, right, okay. I always thought they were brothers. Yeah, but they're related, or the uncle. Oh, right, okay.
But they family though.
Right, okay, yeah, you're probably right on that. I've always thought that that's the brother of Chikata, but thanks for that correction. Yeah. So growing up, when you hear the word Chachu Chikata, you put some fear on you. Yeah.
I mean, call Obayas. You remember that during the when we were talking about doing the reform, is it not the recovery, later part, not the revolution time now, yeah, for the reconciliation time, during the reconciliation time, and when in terms of judges, at that time, the thoughts. Obaya, okay. Obaya, mommy, trauma. What do you remember? I'm gonna be a fan. What do you remember about that? Former
No. I'm like, if I know the name very well under the NDC. And actually, with the death we reading about him, actually, I've come to realize that he did a lot for Ghana. But I remember him from the NDC time. I remember the name was a very scary time. I think NDC party then was that time. Uti Obi did not, especially that name, you get a bit scared. But that's what I remember. I was too young. Omunya no many more about him. I don't know much about him.
Yes, you know, it was a pioneer of the.
It's quite interesting to see. So the man lived for many years. Goes Congo, done all that. Kwame Nkrumah time, yeah. But I'm thinking.
That's right. You know, like
How
I
was
said
he?
last time when I was, what our friend Mark Anthony said about our when I quoted, for every great person there is the likelihood of the evil that will live after him. But people have forgotten the good that
he did.
Look, it stood firm security-wise. It stood firm and allow the revolution to flourish. When I say to flourish, to take hold and then bring sanity to the system before going to the parliamentary election. But for his timely intervention and for his contribution to what we have now, Tatu's stance or his behavior or what he did brought stability to the country. And I think that for a fact he did. There were shady things that are, happening that was, and it was
Isn't this
it was implicated.
essence of
That's right. It was implicated in a lot of things that are no evidence of
which he denies?
which he denies everything. But as I'm saying, every great man, there's bound to be that's this sort of
Definitely.
Yes, but he did well to make sure that the revolutions stood firm, brought discipline into the system before the parliamentary elections, which was good because we needed that stability at that time of the revolution.
I wonder how old you were, because he was just he died 85. So he must have started quite early on in his life because facing being killed and all that stuff around that time. Yeah, so he must have been quite.
But remember, Rawlings came to power when he was very, very young. So
Rawlings opposed him by then.
yes, about Rawlings was 27, wasn't it? But yeah, around that time when he took the running of the country, I mean through the coup d'etat. So he was surrounded by these young guys, Chachu being one of them, Chikata himself being one of them, Haruna Idrisu, PV Obin. They were all very, very university graduates. They finished the 80 themselves. So they were very young around that time. Around perhaps maybe some of us are even older than them when they actually went into start their career into politics. And it has been in the scene for a very, very long time. And again, going back to the same thing Mr. Ono mentioned, the stability of the Fourth Republic democracy that we enjoy is as a result of people like him in terms of giving us the security that the nation needed. Because the Rawlings era was characterized by a lot of attempts to overthrow him. So a lot of them, so many of them, and none of them were successful.
During the and I know after NDC, we came to what do you call it? Democracy.
Yeah.
If you look at how Ghanaians have been governed in terms of younger uncle for some was it not so during the time of the Chipatas and those times? Because that's Ansha Rawlings or Yabranti. Because for me, and those people were working hard. I'm not saying our politicians now are not working hard. But if you look at age-wise now, it's been there's a lot of kind of stigma. The African presidents and the politicians are old. But if we and that's what democracy has brought to Africa, in my opinion. But if you look at during that time, during the revolution time, all those people were young. And I could see that sipping through. Now you can see young people coming in politics and back politics. And it's all because of people like Yes,
I mean, like it set the pace of how the African democracy was, because a lot of African countries, not even talking about the sub-Saharan Africa, but even the wider African countries, the democracy, a lot of them looked onto up to Ghana. When we got our independence, Nigeria had an independence. A lot of countries followed suit as a result. So Ghana has always been a model for other African countries to basically follow. And around the 1970s into the 1980s, there was so much coup d'etats on the continent, so many of them. So again, if you think about why we were successful around the 79 coup 81, Rawlings taking over, leading us all the way through, even not even bringing about the other people that rule the country. But the point I'm making is actually say when we saw the stability moving from PNDC into the democratic dispensation, the stability we changed from one hand to changing from Rawlings to Kufuor. All those stability that we enjoy, in a way metamorphosized into what other African countries are also doing, because they were always looking up onto us as a state. And that is why a lot of time when you look at what the West normally wants to do, they want to use a model democracy, which is Ghana. And you're enjoying it only because you have people like Chachu Tikata that has ensured that the stability that we needed, we actually enjoyed it.
Some medals, and I know we spend quite a lot of time on discussing, but I find it very interesting because this week, last week we talked about not the state barrier. Ghana has come out saying yes, state barrier. And now, I was watching Impress McBrown, the show this week, and I know there's been a lot. McBrown, Anama McBrown, the show their friend. And what was interesting is that time, there was a lot of talk around the showbiz about recognizing the people who kind of pay their dues, basically. And I remember Kokukraka said, Tatawali Crown was a money state barrier because we come up, there was a gray area said, do you invest in your retirement, those kind of things. Now, I think so, I don't know whether some would be good for us now, like maybe whatever. For these people. It was interesting that Impress kind of interview.
Why is she called an Impress?
That is her program. The program.
Oh,
that's how it's
coming. You keep referring Impress. I thought it's a title.
No, it's a program. No, from interview Mohammed, and this week and kind of a bit of a talk live what she's kind of contributed to the country in terms of movie, radio, whatever. And I thought it was something very interesting. Chachu of the scene will be answering Kojo Chikata and answering cards or do you think that it's about time? And usually they say this kind of one obviously Ethiopian kind of all of a sudden do you think that it's about time Ghana in a way to recognize, I'm not saying it's monetary, but recognize some of these people.
I would say yes, but I remember when we reading from it's kind of a mini biography about him. I wouldn't call it biography, it's just something that someone has written quite a lot. There was a time that he was actually Kufuor, awarded a state honor on him. I'm talking about Chikata, and he actually refused the honors.
Did Rawlings not do the same?
I can't remember if Rawlings.
No, when he was asked,
oh yes. I'm talking about the state itself. That Kufuor actually offered that, and he actually refused. I guess the politics of it and all of that. I don't know. Maybe he felt it might not be appropriate. We were around those times, things were very, very heated there was a lot of attention between Rawlings and Kufuor around that time. So maybe he might have thought, it's not the right time for him to take the recognition from Kufuor, and that will be something in the face of Rawlings, maybe. And this is me just saying without knowing. So, but I will agree, in terms of the state itself recognizing the efforts of its citizens, there have to be some recognition award that every year we kind of give to senior citizens, not only senior citizens perhaps, anyone that has basically contributed to the country. I suspect something is like that probably there. I don't know if it's kind of in a very generalized, as we all know the way it will be and it works.
The only one I can think of that
Yeah.
I remember about awarding something
To himself, yeah. I was going to come to that, but it's good to remember that one. Yeah. So I mean, that he basically rubbished the whole award system, in that sense. Well, yeah, but I want to tell myself for being very, very effective leader and for the work I've done. So like, I mean, if we have something like that, if we haven't rubbished that, it would have been perfect, recognition, devoid of the political aspect of it. But it's understandable, Nana. The UK system is a monarchy. And the monarch is very independent, he's not into politics. So if the monarch is awarding something to you, probably, maybe we might look at, not even governmental level, but through the kinship. If you belong to the Ashanti man, then maybe the Ashanti kingdom is recognized for his time for the kingdom.
already.
Well, I don't know.
And
I'm
even
just,
for somebody to be recognized, even for instance, within the Ashanti kingdom,
yeah.
for somebody, they have something they call Swahili. Yeah, Swahili. Nkoso means Swahili, and you don't have to be royal, and they give it to you. You help. So I think that I'm sure the guns will have something or the other.
Well, I'm just looking at the expansion of the argument in terms of whether we can look at that aspect of that. But on the state level, yes, if we that recognition, because we have grown now as a country, we've grown, the democracy has grown. If you look at quite recently, God bless you, so Rawlings passing, the unifying factor, in Rawlings, everyone appreciates Rawlings. Even before to his latter days before he died, he and Nana Akufo-Addo were like those buddies. I hear that they actually, go and do the thing together. It's an alleged. I don't know any truth about
But
this.
if
I'm just saying it's an alleged.
kind of that thing,
Yeah.
because of the bomb with the enemy.
Me, I'm saying that's what I heard. I can't. I'm not
And
saying
did you have some before coming to studio?
No. Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah.
and it's sad because listen, about Kojo now. Kojo, I felt sorry for him during the reconciliation.
Yeah.
Mr. Asha, went for him
Yeah.
so badly.
Yeah.
And radically, I thought that guy would finish.
Yeah.
But he was able to actually mingle himself out of situation and then probably kept his credibility in that.
Yeah.
I would say. But during the conversation time, Sasha was going for him, and I watched the whole episode, and I thought, if this guy really did what Sasha said, and then sitting down as cool as cucumber, then the man
is something else.
Something else. And the reason why we had that stability,
Yeah.
He could
withstand the shock. Yeah. And yeah.
That's right.
But he denied every other.
Of course, he did.
Yeah. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean,
And there was no kind of concrete evidence for him to
No,
prosecute him.
it was a guy.
even Rawlings, actually, there are some things that happened under his regime which he denied he giving the orders. He was, according to him, I read some of it. Sorry, go on.
I was actually going to say, anyway, the awards that we were talking about earlier, so it's important, and as much as I think it's important, the state of our government, or like probably in Africa, or should I say, probably just narrow to Ghana, it kind of becomes difficult anyway, because it's like, if I really, how do you even determine what the person has done if they deserve it? Because it's going to be parties of division anyway. How do you determine that?
Hence,
You know?
we might
And I'm
have
not
to
saying people don't deserve it. Like someone like this Kutu guy, and he deserves it, and some people do deserve.
But that is debatable.
Exactly. That's it's debatable. But who determines that? And well, just
Sorry, go on. It's doable because the way normally you run these sort of things, you run it through independent bodies. So you get people who, let's say, let's say someone like the Ghana chief is there, those very much not engaged in politics, and they look at the thing. The nomination comes from perhaps maybe individuals. Then we look, okay, who deserves what criteria do we use for the deserving whatever it is. So it is very, very doable, I mean, that we can avoid it of the politics. But you are right, it's not an easy thing. It's going to be pretty much very challenging, as to if we can really establish for a fact that whoever has been given the specific award deserves it.
Mommy call a bias. Before some call bias, and I just want to say Bismarck Remu. Now, and Sana Bismarck big room this week. Another story about up. Who is it? This is the that we don't know is the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake. In this week, budget, Ajenkwa, that's the name. Ajenkwa landed this weekend. Now, Mommy really captions in it because the 2022 budget is the most forward-looking and thought-provoking fixing the country movement. And this has me a bit of the Fix the Country movement says it sees the 2022 budget statement as the most empathetic, thought-provoking and forward-looking budget in the recent times. Now, one of the areas about being very controversial is tax. How the civilians or the populace eventually attack. Because then you say tax any of the build, especially when it comes to the West. You can't get away with tax. I don't know yet from source of crowns now. But what is interesting is that with the West, it doesn't matter whether you work in the government or you work as a private person, you still pay tax. And I think what the government, from all the commentaries I've read, and they're trying to do is to make sure that Obia ate their tax. Now, this year, and I just want us to treat a young Momo one, because Finance Minister, the way or the ban is say, if I say Obia ate your tax. And that's one of the things I'm going to buy out is e-tax, electronic tax. Now, my main kind for the benefit of its here for also the Mobile Money Agent Association of Ghana has threatened to resist the implementation of the 1.75% levy on mobile money and the other electronic transaction. The association, in the view of the levy that seeks to tax transactions that exceed 100 Ghana per day, is nothing but a killer of business. Yamfa asemisi ho emse Bismarck if you know so na me ma Bismarck emomremu na me tie de Bismarck have got for us because this year there's a Ghana ehwa aye enti once I may try some Bismarck out so yes this year utua 100 Ghana first 100 Ghana per day no dey utua but anything utua that anything other than that on 100 Ghana, you're going to pay tax on it. OTM, what was your initial reaction?
Well, the initial reaction will be as similar to anyone in Ghana, in reference to the other, the unfortunate. I think again, you probably argue because taxation cannot be good for individuals in this sense, but I know for the government's point of view, you need to make sure the revenue base is actually increased. to the point that you be able to generate enough so that you can have all those interventions, healthcare, education, even creating employment. And it's always an issue. The government will have to find a way of that. But then before I actually even go into the details of that, yesterday I decided, well, I always normally do that when budget statement comes out. I read through the budget itself, which the finance minister went to parliament, and things that he said about the budget. And then if you actually read through the budget and you take your time to understand it, there are a lot of positive things that I've seen in the budget. And of course, unfortunately, the highlight of the negativity is the E levy, as they call the mobile levy, which is one area which is actually creating quite a lot of problems.
Mommy, hold you on. My name's Mommy. Hey, Mommy, Bismarck. Bismarck, what's your main car? Bismarck, what's your main car? How's your man name called?
My mama does say, Senator Ghana, I have Ghana, I have.
Say Lucy Bismarck. Bismarck, Bismarck, what's your main car? I'm talking about.
Last week in
Sir Bismarck, again, so Papa, my main course, is best time. I was so how many be saying yeah, Bismarck, 84 years, and bro. So I mean,
You're on the internet. Let me count about the
let me hold your mom.
your message.
Nana, him, Donna Bobo, what is a party, two, for a year, personal. When it happens for no, it does when you be in Como, and the work on it, go to the entire country, I don't know, what's it. I small person and kind of cry because Mangas I'm a people to know Bono. They are there at the Mao, because Mangas at me. And I don't come with anyone center. Petrol moon and car buying one check, Nanka or this Nanka was often a house. We say, I know, Petrol are two. There is one to took Cascam. If some guys want to Cascam, and it's about I asked them, oh, the government comes out by Sanka, buying Shanaka. To Roman or never mind to I don't know. Or which are 1 city. Yes, 50 pesos. I don't know which are. I don't know. Only a man or open the mouth to get you final for 1 more talk.
Tabby, Sir Bismarck, and I'll lie no anymore, Papa. Something catch up for some mommy.
You know, let me count about the whole budget in itself. And I think sometimes it will be good, say, if there is an opportunity, a chance to read through all the budget statement. I managed to read all the way to chapter 247, I think, and some few bits of it on the budget. And the thing that was very clear to me on what the finance minister and the government, the House, are trying to do or alluded to in terms of why the budget is the way it is. They make quite a lot of reference, and I've never seen a budget where COVID-19 has been mentioned like almost every chapter there is reference to COVID-19, almost every chapter. And I understand why. Because if you look at the projections that the government actually did, they made some comparisons between looking at what the continent in around West Africa and sometimes within Africa, the growth rate at which the African economies is actually growing. And they make some comparisons between that in 2019 pre-COVID period and some of the groups which are very, very similar. And then straight away into COVID-19, of course, the shocks of COVID-19 resulted in most economies struggling. A lot of African economies also struggling. And the growth became very, very stagnated, and sometimes actually went into negative growth, which in the sense you call it a recession. So they made that comparison and they checked on the progress that the country is making now in terms of the 2020 and even up to the end of the year in the 2020, and still the projections that they have in terms of growth is still going to be as not comparable to what the pre-COVID growth were. So the references that were made in there were trying to acknowledge the problems that the economy suffered, and they, to be honest with you, their main focus in the budget is a blame of the non-performance of the economy on COVID-19. If you read through everything of I mean, don't even read. You just read up to maybe somewhere around page. If you do page 20, page 30 of the budget, you will see clearly what the government is trying to project. So then, when they went on, this is the part that I found it very interesting, and why they think there has to be some of the interventions that they're putting in place. And with your permission, Mamika chapter 247 of the budget statement, and this is what the finance minister said. And this will take some the other 5 minutes. So, Mr. Speaker, government is therefore, and this part is titled the supportive policy measures. The supportive policy measures in the sense that problems are here, face Mr. Speaker, government is therefore proposing for the consideration and approval of the House fiscal policy measures to underpin the 2020 budget and to support the fiscal conditional and growth agenda. The full details of these fiscal policy measures are present below. The list of the policy measures includes, and obviously, 1, approval for implementation, the revised exemption bill. 2, implementation of the Unified Common Platform for Property Rate Administration with effect from 1st of January 2020, subject to review every 5 years. 3, restoration of the benchmark values of imports by suspending the 50% discount on selected general goods and the 30% discount. And this is where it gets interesting. The 4th one, impose an electronic transaction levy, which is the e-transaction levy of 1.75 million. This is the part that they actually spend more time elaborating in terms of the measures that they want to do. So I think that again, impose an electronic transaction levy of 1.75% on the value of digital transaction and exempt daily transaction of a cumulative value of 100, which you mentioned, below 100 Ghana, that will not attract those sort of charges. But we're doing for 100. Many say okay, no, per person. The recommended effective date of implementation is the 1st of January 2022. Annually, up to 0.2% points of the 1.5% transaction levy should be used to support road infrastructure development, okay, and 10% of the 0.25% points of the yield should be dedicated to improvements in public transportation, including purchases of buses. It goes on, but I'm going to leave up to this very point. And then it's very clear, government is broke. Very, very clear, absolutely clear. There's absolutely no way about it that you can see any other thing that will make reference to why this drastic measure. Because Omonisika, they blame it on COVID-19. You could make an argument, say there are a lot of economies also that actually struggled in COVID-19, but this sort of drastic measures has not been implemented in that. Possibly some countries might look at it and say maybe it might be a good way of trying to raise some kind of money. But this is where it gets dangerous with this sort of e-levy tax. The Momo transactions now, and unless I'm totally wrong from the way I understood how the policy is going to work, if you transfer money from your wallet over £100 to
100 cedis.
So it's
The 100 the first 100 cedis for the day, you don't get taxed.
Okay. Anything after that now?
Yeah, you get 17 point.
Thank you. Any 1.75 when it goes on. If you do interbank transfer, also you get. And
whoever is going to take the money, you also pay tax.
Exactly. So what you're basically trying to do, yes, you're raising tax, but you're creating a system where now people but the vice president has been championing digitization all the time. If you want digitization to work, you need to promote and encourage people to be using it. What this policy will tend to do is now people are going to be very careful as to why would I want to make a transaction digitally when I can just go to the person and hand over the person. Government is now going to struggle to be able to chase, to identify where money is going, because you need money to
and
run
our
through the
money
system.
will run through hands.
Of course,
Yes.
that is what is going to happen. And
Pacho, on mommy, I'm saying, Menya Bismarck back on the line. And Bismarck, Pacho, what's it mean? My name, come mommy.
How you know, I said, no, pardon, whom said that there are 2 to the guy, and I almost that. Nimum Anka, Petrunan always Anka, or Betty to Sunanka, almost so any Picaka, and to be said, Petrunan idea in Pumopai. And on Quada, before or who will talk with Wa, a Yanka, one ma, passing over to Mukakamo, a job who will free bar, at the time, and you so a YouTube now, a free of them, said. Another idea, one Emma or we Picaka. Like I said, over to Ghana, there, the Sanema Mini, and it's Sanema Rina, and every port. I will Ghana have found what you know. Anna, also Muna, Dina, good not empty. Put out for now, and proportionally you should put a cash out Ghana. Titigua, and proportionally you should cash out Ghana. You know, empty of attitude. Abandoned this tax in every 2 months. Again, putting now, so if it's not going to come up, and if it's not going to say they are there, the most is there, a bit more also our Ghana. Banana, the breaking news can say, a return officer, a woman, to Ashanti with her. If you are actually or so, if you know, Jaka, and Mamma, so for 5 years, 5 years, I saw up. It was also would you. Then now Saturday, Friday, or Friday. You would have been if you want to care now, or the team one is almost so many I don't got any. If you know, almost she.
Oh, Nana, Chama, who's you right?
And I was maybe 1,000 cities. So for 1,000 crown, I was saying, I still want I was sending you now, and I have 1,000 cities. And my other one, you know, say feature already, and I am saying I won't put in 7 hours. But then just a channel of my own press conference, Masia, and I can see and some now. Also, first, please, other social media platforms are over time. Everyone is on idea. And I me as a child, I'm a bishop for a canny and find a what I want to know why a man would see and Sana, also Caniana,
Now, Bismarck, now, more evidence, they say, MP before, and you could try and
original house. About to I started Adama. I want to win office no. Before to reach amount but in the TV station, one on an office. The other one is now everyone about also or any and until every name I don't want to try to those a woo and only 3 years in Soprano. I don't want it. Send it to me. I don't know. 3 years and she moved to pay. Some of the money I know, cut every night. No father, my hand. Not for me,
Yo, Bismarck, where the better by him say, if you have Mr. No nearby or just some no crimes or more comment commenting. It's a better was it. But to na the baby triviano na o de amaye. You ready a bema yenua bema just se kakra ne busuafo e mabusuafo nyina ya ko say ye ready aba de na say ye nyina aka ya say libre pa na ba tie mabusuafo nyina ya ko enjo fm titru ne abusuafo nyina say mrenu du so a ye WhatsApp radio ye no ye so ye beba ebi nti change training na mo ma ya so tia yen so abane abesua yo any bedas etiefo eye yenu abesmark Angel FM and na obutu ye na adwuma ono na yete ne ka no but before say Bismarck beba no na sami my analysis be all kind part of the budget edia my in some budget I think that one of the budgets in buy sami made it clear that there's so many good things about budget but at the end you can't have 100% and sometimes and you many be on my yeah that's anyway I was saying it's no na maybe I messy it's me go back to sami na sami the or can I mean, it was mommy.
Yeah, no, me that's it. I'm saying sometimes we distract me. Say I say action or na. Maybe I feel do yeah. I say we should have. We should now. I feel now we should be that it disrupts your flow. And let me say this: you are very
I think you were making a good point about obviously digitalization. I come on, yes.
when we do now, my paracetamol no. So I'll come to Bismarck you know about it. But yes, Nana. So the vice president has been going on and on. You know, I even wonder whether the vice president actually was consulted when it comes to this sort of levy, because he actually is one of those proponents that actually people that has always proposed the IDSA Uber tax, the mobile money transaction. You know, so yeah, but he's not someone who is in favor of that. He actually did mention that he's not in favor of that. So digitization and it's an digitization. We want to make sure say everything goes through the system so that the system can recognize that it helps it in the government. If you can make transactions, it's easier to be able to tax those transactions if you have to. You know, and even know the income base of people. There are so many things that you can do with it. And what this will do, yes, you might raise some money, but there is a high possibility that people will now begin dodging the system. And rather than, transaction, money moving through the banking system, and they will end up there is more I wanted to say, but I'll give a chance for someone else.
Your mama comments so yes, this is no. Just to give you a little bit background, more especially for ATF. The fans said, "Oh, send it something like 1,000 Ghana, 1,000 Ghana." Wow, would you answer banks? No, I'm not charging. You have every now. Now on top of it, the first 100 Ghana, won't you actually? And see, Ushama will be a business partner. Maybe any partner who for it, and now the business partner, whatever. The car, at the end of the day, you end up, even though I'm saying 1.75 or no, you end up paying over 27%. If you work it out, you end up paying that. So if you look at any pan of car, you have from say manual, no or they are on a business partner. Maybe a minimum say five Ghana. Now Banwa with 5 Ghana. If you look at it now, it's much cheaper compared to that transaction now, And one other thing that area finance minister account is or Lowama here for not the very poor, or the capitals 400. No. But as you can phone who one Samumu, a bank transaction on my. So where are we with this?
We need a clearer distinction between the E-levy, what the taxes are on. Because when it comes to E-levy, you're talking about any transaction that has for money, cash. What about ATM? Recharge ATM is electronic transaction as well. Recharge ATM, draw money from the ATM. Are you going to charge it? And there's a reason why they have to go back to the drawing board, and I believe they will go back to the drawing board because
Are they? I think they're voting on it.
The NDC said they're not supporting it anyway. So
that's not ratified the parliament. The memo, the pool, everything has not been ratified yet. But the thing is, the trickle effect of what is happening is what is going to be felt by the poor in the society. Those who don't thrive. What the government has done is giving you 2p there by taking the toll away.
Yeah.
And then it increases by 5%. Because it has to recoup its money. The money has got to come from somewhere. If the government is going to get rid of all the toll book, then it has to find other source of revenue. And the easiest way to find is the mobile but look at the benefit, look at the pros and cons of this. Those who are going to benefit from the poor are going to suffer more. Those using the mobile are going to suffer more. They don't drive, they don't pay, they don't go to the toll, but if you give it them drivers, the drivers they all in cash. They will be using the poor woman who is somewhere in the village, whose daughter or son what you selling dentists or other citizens. You're asking them to pay taxes from there. If I'm going to send you money and I don't want to pay the tax from source.
The money,
I'll tell you when it gets there, pay the tax. That means you've lessened the amount you're going to give to a poor woman who doesn't drive, who doesn't use the toll. So they have to go back to the drawing board and then re-examine this properly because it's not fair on everybody. I believe in a trust that the moving the toll, it will do two things. It will help the environment because the more cars stay in line, their engines on, the more they pump out fumes, which is good. Now they're flowing, which is okay.
But is it not? And sorry for interjecting. I know Baumia has been on digitalization, because I wrote for digitalization. Now, is it not that some will say because it causes people in traffic, cause traffic, so why can't they digitalize it so that they put a plate on and once you get to the end, automatically it takes your money?
You know what?
It wouldn't work that way. So because we haven't got a system whereby
why haven't?
But this kind of thing. So what you do is that people go through the system anyway, digitalization. So and I said, go to the system now. System recognize it. Say, well, after her, what I said, no, that means no.
I think the government has got to go back.
You can't.
There's new ideas. There are intellectuals.
There
are people that will be thinking strategies. Okay, why not take away the toll booth, but put probably every DVLA put 2 cities there extra. Whether
so you still have drivers on the road,
Whether you still have to drive the road, whether I use the toll or not. There's
so many ways.
5 cities or 2 cities there. That will bring you
extra income,
extra revenue, extra income, and then leave the movement alone. Leave the movement alone. But find other ways and means of complementing what you've lost from the toll. That means every driver who drives on the road paying an extra levy of 5 cities or 10 cities, 4 cities a year for that, so that they can go free and have a free, free ride to the toll booth. That is what the government should be doing, and not putting how do you call it, levy on other citizens. So if a day, if I transfer other cities to something, I don't pay nothing. The next other cities I'll pay something.
No, if it's on the same day, but if it's some people can be smart and they will send 100 cities each day. Every day they'll be sending 100 cities. It is a
3,000 a month.
yes.
That means you have to pay levy on the 3,000 at the end of the month.
No, you wouldn't pay.
No. It's for the day. For the day. Yes.
Yeah. This is confusing. They have to go back to the drawing board and do this properly. The Momo thing, they should that Momo, but they should find ways and means of complement of resources and money from is lost from the total. 22 million cities that will be lost through this. The government can recoup this. What I mean.
Your ATM for this year, my mentor won't cut. Oh, no, do you think, say, hey, you'll buy a do you think the phone no crumple there? Dear be a boy and I said, because this year, yes, it's a wood, you say, 100 Ghana, there would be another winter levy be ours, 1.75 and cup. I said, wouldn't him know a businessman, making sure, so best start this is still beyond to bicycle. That the ponko. As a one thought that the ponko now went to sell the way because we thought that ponko bicycle out your toe boots. And I know some more because all right, you can is good for your heart. Is this your engine a bicycle? Or video car, that's what you use the car. Now watch I say. Oh, Baya, this is your toe boots, no mommy. Why is it?
I mean, I just think it's I've started in traffic. No, I've sat going through places at times and I've seen how many cars you can imagine that passes through it, but it's all done manually. And as we all said anyway, there should be. I don't see the point of canceling because it's still another revenue that you can generate. So instead of pushing it all.
But the question is, you can't where is accountability? They are not
exactly. No, be I view at times you wonder what. Because who said who show on the road is supposed to be doing the road works and all this stuff, but nothing is happening. But what I've told you today, I can ask them before. There should be a digitalization of how the toll system works. That's the only way you're going to be able to realize how much is coming in, where the money is going to. We don't really people pay like who the traffic planners how many cars one city 50 pesos or whatever it is. It's a lot of money per day. And where is it going to? Nowhere. And obviously, what we're talking about this memo anyway, as Sammy said, obviously they are desperate for money. They need money. But I don't know why they don't take their time to investigate or look into any other ways how you can actually generate. So, you take it from here, you put it there, or whatever it is. But you just don't take one and increase it that high anyway. You just basically keep it the toll. As we talked about the DBA local register car, wherever you pay, be extra something else there. And if something so small, not anything huge as what we're talking about. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It's like, as we all talking about, come on, and whatever, it's every 100 cities, they'll be 1.7, 1.75. Now it's a lot anyway for somebody that hasn't even got it.
And besides that, umame and as the Niparono at the receiving end. So if you don't want that to happen, that means you will have to.
So what we're talking about right at the moment, you say like, also we want the system whereby everything is done electronically. If I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it, so then what you're going to encourage is people holding money and traveling with money around the country. Armed robbers are always available, like to steal and kill people for it anyway. So you don't want to create that. You just want everything to be electronically done to avoid this money moving around. And this is the only way so far you can actually stop any money laundering situation. Who is giving money to where is the money going to? It's not going to happen anyway. So you can't really have both of these systems working at the same time. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful, really. That's my view about it.
Your 8:24 time check at the moment is 27 minutes past 6. And we spend time and war budgeting and also here because this is something I know I can't a boy in Ayakon as a country. When him say, Jumakobi and a soya, and now to be a week without your day, Jumadi, bro. Ain't it many with Fidian and co baby?
Casting Advisory is what you need. Are you looking for business solutions that will serve your needs? Look no further, because Casting Advisory is all you need. Casting Advisory is a unique advisory firm that provides specialized solutions in tax and business planning, audit and assurance services, company secretarial services, corporate advisory, corporate training, tax policy advisory, charity registration and accounting, gift aid for churches and charitable organizations. Our understanding and industry experience provides a cutting-edge software solution tailor-made for your firm. Locate Casting Advisory in the UK, Suite 4, the Generator Business Center, 95 Miles Road, Meacham, Surrey, TR4 3FH, or call us in the UK on 020-840-81520 or 078-867-15702, or email us at info@castinggroup.com. And in Ghana, locate Casting Advisory Suite 5, the first floor of Berserker Plaza, Tetehu Junction, Southeast Ranger off the Kaswa Highway, or call 0249-700-075. Casting Advisory, the delivery of excellence redefined. Casting Advisory is what you need.
Trinity Driving School, your #1 driving school in the UK.
Did you know that they're equipped with professional driving instructors who will teach you to pass your test with ease?
So, if you want to pass your test, please look no further.
Contact Trinity Driving School on 07507 116997.
Trinity, safe and responsible driving.
Welcome Radio. I love this station.
I like this one.
Yeah, Uti What's Up Radio.
Yo, it's here for you. Welcome back. If you just tune in, this is What's Up Radio, your #1 radio station in London. Aye, awareness Jumedie and now Wasugusua Uti. Just before say a break, we were talking about the Ajinkwa budget. The favorite one, the hot cake. Two prominent things also with Ajinkwa is more of the one Tobuta free ho producer Mr. M said Tobuta. I see we were discussing about the Tobut. Then we looked at the E-levy about the Momo. Mommy, and numbers my age of 0208144. And we'll bet me actually live on Facebook or YouTube or type in What's Up TV. So we're joining in the conversation. And before I move on to the next topic, Mr. Sammy wanted to add something bit about these Ajinkwa budgets. It's my man 5 minutes around it up and what he wanted to come across. Sammy.
Well, it was just an addition to the some of the queries that we all querying the government's intention and why they basically taking one and giving one and taking the other, so to speak. The toll booth aspect, the discuss, it is a strategy to make the populace believe, is it
not the case when the election during
yes.
the amount of free electricity,
but that's
free water?
We said it in this house. So they will pay you everything back. When people were jubilating, 4 more for another, 4 more for another, we got another more. We knew it was going to be paid back. We all knew it was going to happen. But now, if you again, I'll go back to the budgets and the references that we always have to come back to. Is the issue of the money which is not available. The government is basically broke. The idea of the COVID, the levy normal posted on the e-transaction, the e-levy, it's a long-term strategy.
Which kind of, even though it says e-levy,
yeah,
it's more specific.
The Momo, I mean,
it's only Momo.
That's basically what. But then it's a long-term. It's a long-term way that they wanted to raise revenue. They must have looked at the numbers of transaction that goes on through more transaction. And they've seen and done all the calculation, the forecasting of what they can make. And as a result, what they can actually recoup from there and therefore use those. But I sympathize with government. Part of the budget said something which is very, very significant. And I was trying to get into that part, maybe once you go on, I'll try and get it. But then if I'm not wrong with the figures now, in the working age brackets of people that are working, you wouldn't believe it how many people are actually in the tax bracket that actually are paying taxes. If you look at the figures of the people that are of working age that are working, so to speak, perhaps. But if you see the number, it's only about 2 million. The population of Ghana is about 30 million.
Hello, caller. Yeah, if I want to like I said, I'm not yet you can't papa. That and as I said, yes, moment you are to yeah, told no, yeah, they are chamon, Physiano. As money as India.
Bibi Ansefana, I think MPP could just fire. By the 2024, it's Liber Power, 2025, but I don't believe who they were feeding to market on the wall. Because he has caused financial loss to the state. They delivered to because when it comes to that, the council will now implement it. And that's how bad it is. And yet, then you are sorry, all the things because to say, when you say 100 million, I will hold it put your work as a and until I can all buy the thing for all these transactions for until where it's good enough for you. Now, your father comes at the end, you will be saying about Madame Woman. I mean, it's the time that you're both to that.
Saba, nyabotre mame. Me pacho baby a ojina no. O microphone mame. Em se katasu. Clear papa.
Okay, mommy.
It's much better.
Okay. See, and I make cannot remain road minister or the with them causing financial loss to the state. Tawusha said the abani and me ferrecola say, who shed the ministers in the Casafano Afena, the PA will be your statement to be a better fire. Nothing on Baby today, you perform the Canada quiet team, and there was a Yakujo Poncomanum, no Musha Latana say. Because the American the budget is for 2022. It's minimum road minister Basoriana Joe. So you can't say we shout to all the two not Kaise Burkina Uniteo and Mali when Burkina Faso Nana yes Umunchiashi and Kamaye. Meanwhile, what's the year? May say 100 million cities. At least, everything to take us over. Can you do so? The economic last year, no, so I told you, ya penti be ya ye be to talk to equipment and system. And the Benny, that's what it's fair. Ya baby, that told you, and the last year, ya broker, and the excess are a no, and no margins, and no money. I beg you, any focus, the beer or the battery be why, and the Utia are covered, Utoya we are covered, Yamana are covered, Ufimoja are covered, Already super ya fight abaya paswen yika. IMF grant what they are taking free $2 billion dollars. Texas stabilization fund and then what John Dramani Mohammed now 250 million dollars. And we Sako Kobo World Bank $100 million dollars. And they didn't grant Ghana a Bank of Ghana with a appeal from Parliament to say compare 10 billion Ghana cedis, end up 20 billion Ghana cedis. And do you know the reason why? Because last year it was a year of a politics, you know. Your neighbors now, your deficit last year it was 15%. Then why other countries, your neighbors now try and they were doing 5%, 7% a deficit because you know. Private holidays or play no team and no and general a president Ghana was at about what you high a right now.
So what your mommy? It was the figures the other mommy, but and then with there's one burning question and not last week. I'm sure they did. Then you say a year last week, yeah, Papa Rollins 1 year. Now one of the during presentation by Dr. Zanato Obeka said it would be good for us to bring a year network in my back. Yeah, now you're finding back now Mecca and do you think NDC is ready for now?
Well, as you said, we are not ready. If she is ready for us, that would be it. As for the NDC as a party, we have moved on from the Nakuna Gajima era. We have moved on since 2012, and we won the election without her, and we can do it again at the bar. As you said, we never hear anybody.
But say, and penny phones to come be said, Papa, what's now? 1 year, what's now? Therefore, 1 mark of Babeton and so my
she departed with us because I know person will lead and will quite not for not only that, no, then be when you are going to be a cassette. And you want to say, I would a politics man of a baby. And not great, could not want to make a meeting and people by a woman and I'm in the say. And your body, like I said, no, not any penny any part. Then penny 14 us now if they told you and they thought people enough is enough, and let's come together fine. At the moment, I mean, look at it on Saturday, priorities are your priority is there. You're going to effort also now budget here by a minority in a parliament. Then Jim to study a bay outside, he left in taxes. Ain't member take effect, not any issues and so they were Ghana because it's a casino. The column in it's a transaction by a California, the other practice with your watch of no Busano in the pin. And another would be true in so Yama. This car first, no way to cry and got to turn on and swat it. And I would say, so we share social media in from a for no make your music every moment. So when Danny, and we see a Yama fire day, I panic because you are the person who didn't see they handed a CDC down man. Now all Kaku and yes, I competition. The Ghana form person no man, not only that. Now being a minister of communication, I was communicating very effectively. No, you're negative. And do you know something? Because combining taking
yo, so but when you come into London, mommy.
Can say MPP has failed. That's what others need and tell them, say, look, you have failed us, and the economy is in shambles. and a walk to make a deficit as a movie. To make a borrow, to make access can, and I can once all is not lost. And this is who that's at least
Yo, Saba, yeah, but that's the memory. It's a Sabato, a NDC General Secretary of War, a year in Ireland.
They be on your generous.
Deputy communication.
This is a Sabato. I can say,
yeah, title, no, and say it's about communication. And I use
it's part of the communication team.
Part of the communication team, no, and UK and Ireland, and I attending. And that's a facha me person, and we do title here. Something before, no,
yo, no, I mean that's it.
It's interesting that if you're on the floor and
I tell me there's a oh, is that a compliment though? Okay. So then, and it's good as about
London, mommy, because
it's good as about to because I'm not the information that I'm say we can't answer. So then, this is what it was captured in the budget, and this page, that's what you say, page, chapter 28 of the speech. Now, see, the census result put Ghana's population figure at 30.8 million, and of this number, 42.8% constitutes the adult population above 18 years, while 58.2% constitutes the population below 18 years. Interestingly, out of the total population of the 30 million, only 2.364 million persons, which is about less than 10% of the total population, are registered as taxpayers. Out of 30 million a population, half of that population is adult, are people of adult age, and supposedly perhaps majority of them are working. 2.something million, less than 10% of them are salary registered as taxpayers. So you can see clearly that the problem is not the Momo Onum. Into what you're trying to do to basically take money, and it could be people that you're taking money from are the same ones that are already paying taxes. And the ones that are missing out, they are all working free. I'm not saying that that's what you could make a clear case. But again, look at the figures for growth in the sectors of the economy. Agric grew by 5.3%. Services grew by 8.3%. Every economy we know, say, if economy has to thrive, there are two aspects of that thrives on the economy: service and industry. Perhaps Agric as well. We know we've always been relying on Agric all the time. But the growth in industry is 0.5%. 0.5% growth. And it's already means we are so based our economy.
Because don't you think that because Galam saying
well, I don't know, but the point is our economy is very stagnated and perhaps in a depression mode, mainly because the growth that we need to get from industry, we're not getting that growth from industry. This government championed that. Said that is what they're going to do. When they called all these people coming in, the VWs, that was the intention of that. One day straight factory. It was meant to promote industrialization. Why are we growing by 0.5%? Oh, that rhetorics that they were giving us and all of that. So Nana, the thing is there are fundamental problems that the economy is struggling. The economy is struggling not because your mom that's
what. Listen.
The president has got to listen. Sometimes laugh and make sarcastic about these things that are the president wants to fund his sky.
Alleged though. It's alleged.
It is sarcastic. But what I'm saying is fundamentally true. We are not producing enough. Whatever we produce, we consume.
We consume everything.
Everything. We don't export anything to anywhere. And the only thing that,
That means we don't be listening.
somebody was saying that, listen, the only person who is doing something right that we have to probably encourage and then patronize, and then probably the government, and then produce for whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The guy is producing something. Okay, fine. It's rubbish. That's fine. But it's not rubbish. But listen, the Ghana government has got to help this man, promote this man, if not outside, if not internationally, outside Africa. Let's start from that base. Instead of bringing VW in to come and do what they do, why don't you put money into producer Kantaka and then refine what he is producing to meet international standards? We are not producing enough. We are not importing. We are not exporting enough. That's our problem. That is our problem.
This year is a Ghana industrialization. I know is how many? What's the percentage? I mean, 0.5% is the consumers. We rely so much on import instead of producing and exporting some, which is going to grant us revenue. Now, this week, someone when Ghana because when we can't lawyer for and that is one of the recruitive professions I work Ghana. Now this week, same people go by once a Ghana law school no essay exams head Ghana for so the name say Ghana for being and so mo ko so here abehu ane dia wo ho na ko form CCI adult show boy and say no the free education by but before no as I go for when mama met you school fees ma me not to mo rem no papa no 499 yeah a lawyer for person komokola omunyene ma wo also law school and 499 students failed entrance exam. I'll say the lawyers of the 499 lawyer students who are seeking an independent injunction against the activities of the 2021-2022 academic year activity of the Ghana School of Law have thought their lawyers led by Martin Bepu Bajodimankani and Bepu requested for him to respond to the Attorney General and the General Legal Counsel. The respondent, the GLC, and the Attorney General have insisted in their affidavit in opposition to the interlocutory injunction filed by the law student, insisted that the 499 students failed the entrance examination. And another caption by and also obviously we should reconsider how people are enrolled in the law school, UTAP for and UTAP president and a bar house of council, the national president of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, and Professor Solomon Nunu has called for a review of exciting politics about the legal education. According to him, the current benchmark for admitting people into the Ghana School of Law and restricts many people from gaining access to legal education. In himself, at the end of the day, this year, there is good news there. Allow but look at the politics around. It's been years. Now you need to. There was this allegedly a acronym, and I say Logan. We say you need to belong to the group. And it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. If you are not inside a circle now, also compare another profession. And why? So one could be and now hasn't been a lawyer. It's very, very difficult to say. Family be a lawyer, be any there will be that breakthrough.
The prestige has gone. The prestige of this profession has gone out of a long, long time. The sheen has gone off it. There are no jobs. If you're a lawyer, you don't belong to a chamber. Listen, lawyers they don't earn nothing. Not if you don't get cases.
I think because we
listen
to think that they are very intelligent.
Listen, those days are gone. I don't know somebody here. My former.
Oh, I don't. I don't know in person.
Yeah, but I was and we have a long chat about this. People don't know. This is if you haven't made your mark. This is a very tough profession. You can be for 3, 4, 5, 6 months without the money. You don't get any cases. You don't get the money. You don't get paid. And that is the thing. The prestige and what it stood for is lost. It's lost. And I'm telling you, it's lost. People are clamoring to go. I mean, listen, I told you something about listen. I'm getting into it.
Yeah.
I told you. And I got admission.
Yeah, you did.
Yes. The only thing that prevented me from pursuing, because my wife wouldn't give me full time. They said the full time, I want to do part time. They wouldn't give me the chance to do part time. It's a full time. My wife decided that my classes either you resign and go continue
Your education.
or
You stay here.
And I listen, I just stay. It's going to take me about roughly 6-7 years before I can, which I was eager to do it. And I went through it. I went as far
And
as
for you, it's just a knowledge thing, not,
Yes.
not because
not
you want to
to
use
practice
it.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a knowledge thing. I want you, that's something that I'm yearning to do when I was. But I was talking to Smoothie. I guess said, look, Victor, I can tell you, we are established, international law institutes somewhere in Norway and the roving. But those coming up now, I can tell you for a fact. He told me personally, he said, look, most of them end up, you see them in the bars, waiting for somebody to come up with it. If you don't have a case, you don't get no money.
Mhm.
Why don't, and it's not as if they are very, very intelligent. They're not. Listen,
You mean the lawyers?
have you ever seen a lawyer speaking a good English apart from what he quotes from?
This is very
What-
debatable.
what-
This is very debatable.
What he quotes from
From the law.
from the law books?
Yeah.
No. Instead of them trying to do something else,
Mm.
if you have a chance to study, go higher. And
But
study.
is it, Mr. Mino, can I interject a bit? Is it not interesting, sir, even though you're saying there's no job? However, now Ghanaians are kind of embracing, I'm taking you to court more than putting the law into their own hands. I see more Ghanaians even, what- now somebody can argue, say now even the illiterate, minimum amount of court. Whereas before, it's more of a PS and then kind of now people are understanding and respecting the law. No?
But they are seasoned lawyers who get a job, get the most jobs. Somebody out of law school a year or 2 years ago, I wouldn't even give my child's case. Something like that. There are seasoned lawyers that you can trust. But those coming up now, no wonder they're failing. No wonder they're failing the exams. And when they fail, they try to cause struggle. No. The government must put this foot down and say, look, not until you pass with a criteria mark that is needed, you don't practice law. And it's not as if when you finish the 4 or 5 years, you go straight to practice law. After 5 years, there are other things. There are workmanship, there's housemanship to do as well before you become a very seasoned lawyer. They're wasting their time. Most of them are wasting their time. Most of them who fail, they are wasting their time. Schuster, I'll bring it to you to read it. Somebody who's been following Ghana legal practice. And he says, look, most of the guys who finish from law school, if you employ them, you have to give them a year, 2 years extra curriculum studies before they can become very good studying lawyers. I mean, what is this? Why don't you divert into something else? A Greek
That is.
I'm telling you.
It's what you're saying makes sense anyway. But what I'm saying is,
But I think it's debatable.
yeah, you still need still need lawyers. You still need to have them, develop and come out as well. Because as you said,
But is it not the same? Like with every profession, like if somebody, let's say medicine, for instance, so BBA school as a doctor, obviously you need a job experience, for you to become like a pro in whatever you're doing. Yeah,
you do all that, but there's nothing to do after.
No, ma'am, I've seen that part, but what No, what Mr. Nunu's argument says that those people no bar or more experience, but it's with every profession. Every profession, so who we school now bar oh yeah, about fresh is all kind of book knowledge. So you need to go into the field, practice and whatever before you become a seasoned lawyer or a seasoned profession, irrespective. And we need to give people a chance. But do they not put cap on it? So how comes that in the past, no? If your family, if there's no lawyer in your family, it's very hard for you to become a lawyer.
Because in a law in Ghana, anyway, they demonstrated last year or something like that about how the exams. I don't know why it is. They all believe that like there's a reason why they don't, because they want a certain amount of people to go through, and therefore they fail everyone else. And those people that pass normally is people who are almost parents that they've been in already or whatever. So they demonstrated. And because of they said it shows what are you did or something. So they, I mean, like now she's finished and now she's in this country now because Ghana again it's not going to be possible to do anything with that. But having said that, there's so many lawyers in the system. You could finish all right and everything, but you might not end up doing anything with it because there's so many of them anyway. And I mean, I don't know. It's wherever your heart lies anyway that you want to do.
Mommy.
But there's so many jobs I said out there, there's engineering and all this get changing. That's what the money.
But is it not the same? Somebody can argue as well.
They can.
Ghana, how many people, apart from professions like law and medicine, like all the arts and sciences, how many people now omoko oye bibi now omoba out they work with their certificates. It doesn't. That's what I'm saying. That's the argument I'm building. There, it's the same. Say a lot of people, in their field, there's that job creativity, market, it's not there, and that affects cut across. A Juma to say teaching, gone are the days we are employable. No, you need to go and find your own school to teach. Nursing before we are hospital. Now it's not like that anymore. And a lot of graduates come over here, Juma, say be a job. And Juma no more. So if so be argued to be a lawyer now on Juma, it's somebody can argue that out said that job creation is not there for them.
So if
and I know.
So there, why the pool? Why are you all putting there when there is no job after you come out? Because listen, the world is getting tougher and tougher. There'll be a time when even restaurants, waiters will no longer be needed. You have to understand that things are moving. Seriously, and things are changing, and you have to change with the time. Law and stuff, fine. That's a nice career. That's a nice profession. But the next 23 years, the next 5, 10, 15 years, would they be needed? They're online lawyers and online.
Mommy, it's interesting, Mr. The submission. Even when we look up maybe 20, maybe 50 years from now, even medicine is would it be important? It will be important to some extent, but now knowledge is so cheap at the moment. Knowledge is cheap. Google or whatever, either you Google or other search engines or the information will give you. This year, I'll buy address and I'm gonna the days I'll go to the car, whatever. They'll be so it's on YouTube. There's so many videos. Well, so now knowledge is so cheap. So I mean, a lawyer for years, almost 499, meaning will be the extended more room. Over the West is very, very easy for you to do whatever you want because that opportunity is there. Who we are, there's so many avenues to practice, even with law or property law, family law, whatever law, even Crampono, there be when you go to supermarket, there are laws that governs them. Supermarket, they have their law firm. Almost I'm dealing with the laws in terms of food safety. Your Chromogano. This is in even 400. They have to battle ansana nso he o matro and then 1 ma fail 2 ma pass where are we?
I will have to disagree with all of you on this issue, and it's mainly because I think you're missing the main issue of contention with regards to these 499 students, and I'll come to some of the submissions that Mr. Nuno has made as well. With this specific issue, the 499 students have written the exams and they've passed. So the criteria when they went into the entrance to sit the exam, the criteria or the pass rate, I should probably say, that was given to them, that if you have anything above 50%, and these students that have had from 50 to 61%, somewhere around those figures, and yes, so they have been refused entry. So the legal basis of their refusal is what is being challenged, because when you set up a criteria for specific individuals, and those criteria is what you're going to use as a yardstick of judging them, and when they achieve those criteria, and then you come back and come and say, actually, now more and more below this, you can come. It's mainly because of where they always disagree. There's a quota system that allows is not a practice system where only some few people are allowed in, despite how much well you do. So this specific issue, it's not because it's failed. It's because they were within their right. Take it because of the criteria that was set for them at first. Now, to Mr. Nuno's point that he made about the fact that we don't need any more lawyers, I would disagree, and I would disagree because you see, in regards to practicing law, going to the law, we all know that the branches of law it varies. It's massive. It's a law. The people that go to courts and go and do perhaps criminal cases or perhaps civil cases, it doesn't mean every lawyer have to go through the court to go and fight cases. There are a lot of companies that they will need legal representation. Maybe they might have places within that institution that they will have their legal that represents the organization, and therefore someone with a law background can actually go and work in that. Also, in addition, the chambers that private people do set up and say the way Ghana, and a lot of things that you have to say, you have to do, and a lot of them goes through a lot of lawyers. Now, Madam could be, and she wanted to basically sort of Ompaneba Embra Koma. The challenges that she's facing basically. I mean, there are too many things that I cannot say, but she 100% needed someone in Ghana who basically understands the problem that the person is going through in order to bring right. The difficulty that we do, we struggling to get someone to actually take those cases, and it's mainly because everyone is busy. And I was very, very surprised that actually, the agency that you needed that specific issue to be dealt with, you're not getting the right people to be able to do that. And I can tell you that of course, it is an area where maybe our economy is not open that much that you expect there. Obia benye juma straight away free law school now. But what I will argue is that, irrespective of what it is, you need more lawyers in the economy than the less of it. So when a bar is, or when a criteria is created, and then suddenly a bar is raised to eliminate some people, and I heard the Attorney General made a statement on this specific case, and you know what he said? Going to the law school is a privilege. And it shouldn't even be something like that. And it is something that people there are a lot of people in authority that they feel that those areas, it belongs to certain people, and therefore, if you are not within those certain people, you are not entitled to be able to practice in that. And I found that positioning totally unfortunate. Said something like that. I mean, you have to open up the economy, get more lawyers to start prosecuting people. The foolishness that is happening in our country. And I'm glad you mentioned about this. Everyone who keeps going on and saying, they have to open up the law school and create more chances for people that are qualified to go and practice. Because that's how they say, The branches of law are vary. Commercial law is there. Even within property law is there. Even within that, there are small areas that you can branch into. So you don't only have to go and adjudicate cases and go to court and go and stand and defend someone. You can actually, Roma, how many solicitors don't we find? People go to law and go and do law school. They tend to become solicitors. They are not barristers, but they still practice law in their own way. We can do the same thing, you know. But I think when you limit it to a barrister, when you limit it to the situation where it's only the person that has to go to court to go and fight case, that is where the limitations now falls in. But solicitors can do a lot of legal work without having to, without having to go to court.
Our system is not open up.
I mean, I disagree. I disagree with Sereno.
It don't make sense that other universities, but they are affiliated with other universities. So whereby I said it's not all one place that you have to go, but you can do it in other universities. Is it not?
Yeah, it is only law school. I don't think Legon has. They do. No, they don't. Only law school.
Even when you do, you still have to go.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, you have to go.
Yeah, it's only law school. That you know.
And the thing is, how many people actually, go to the extent of going to the high echelon of the legal profession?
Yeah.
What I mean is, do people really want to? But the people are only on the fringes of the law profession. They don't want to go into the cracks of being a legal representation, but being on the fringes. And then, go and file papers and for lawyers. See, my position on this is, I mean, there are so many people coming to law school, not until you get a fair sound information from those who are actually on the ground. So look, there are no jobs. And that is
but so
we need to pray. We need to pray.
A lot of graduates that come to finish university in other areas that they don't get jobs too.
We have to address them as well.
I agree. I mean, so my point is this: it is not that we don't need more of the lawyers, but it is that we need to expand the economy to be able to accommodate all of these things. It's interesting. I see you feel it.
But is it could
Yeah, but sometimes job creation can be done without expecting it from central government. So if you are a graduate, now we be university, no, you have to create your own enterprise.
But
So,
is
and
it
sometimes
not?
and that begin opening up the economy. And that's why, in this budget, they specifically wanted to target the aspect of where we are dependent on government. And this is what I said to you, I like some aspect of the budget and the motivation around it. So we don't want people to feel, people should now begin thinking entrepreneurial, to thinking enterprise, and then setting up their own thing, doing their own thing, be very innovative, in creating those sort of things. Of course, I know the argument is always going to be, does the economy support you to be able to create those sort of things? I agree. But then government can have those interventions.
That's why they
because
have
they did say,
exactly.
They did say they wanted to set up, and it's also in the budget, they wanted to set up some kind of a developmental banking where youth enterprise, entrepreneurship, innovation, you could tap into that and then get the grants and if perhaps loans, source of grant, then give people the chance to know the technical know-how now. All they need is some capital to be able to start doing something on their own.
And I think it's about time, and now we are kind of, culture evolved, education evolved, the way we work 20 years back, irrespective of which other profession you are in. Because see, and your mind is up. And maybe I will call even in Britain, for instance, if it was a the way I supermarket now it has changed. COVID and every sector, the way you work has changed. Make sure say turn on up. Maybe I'll try their pen paper now it has changed. If you still rely on the old system, to think and say obviously because now we left like decades ago. We need to move from the way we used to work to another stage, and that will bring out the job creativity.
What you're talking about, we need to move from this level to another stage. Don't forget that it will come with some problem.
That is loss of jobs.
Yes.
Jobs. And what you are saying, you started by saying, okay, when you look at I haven't read the whole budget, but the government is setting up very strong financial institutional agencies that will look into apportioning or giving out losses. We started this program. The government is broke. This government is always broke.
I agree.
This government is always broke. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap.
Well, I won't disagree with you on that.
No,
yes.
Where this government is going to get the money to do this is what we have to look into. Otherwise, there is no other alternative than borrowing, and we are sick and tired of that. The government is broke. Where is going to get the money to do this? No, not from the moment. The moment is small. The moment is 75% of going to salaries and wages.
Oh yeah, or into people's pockets.
It's here for if you have Mr. Nunu said this government is not broke. I'll say the government is broke. 2020, I said November 2020, 2021. MPP government is broke. When the last Ubia just 50 seconds, because in time we fast spent. We've gone 80 15 minutes. Producer, mommy, give it to me. 15 minutes idea and yeah, trust me. I'm a fan starting what some memos because me man of too much. They won't be bad and I mean your last word 50 seconds.
Yeah, you know me that say. I think the Ajinkwa budget the government needs to revisit the ELV part. I think they will do themselves good by perhaps maybe reducing the levy that they've put on, somewhere along the line of 0.2%, something small so that people will not really feel it. And nobody will be surprised. If you don't feel it, you continue doing it. In terms of people,
but that's what Ghanaians are kind of told here. I remember people made so much noise about it, and now they don't want it to be taken away.
Yeah.
So Ghanaians are quite receptive.
I don't know yet too much. Sometimes people feel it too much. Well, you can do it very subtle way, 0.3%, 0.4%, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Obaya, also when you have your chance.
Okay, I can remember Obaya.
Okay, Obaya.
But what I wanted to say, as we said, and we just consider review again, think about the whole sort of this memo thing. You might want to, obviously, it makes sense to keep the tools as the thing happening. Because people are going used to it. So what's the point? It's one city, whatever. Even though you complain or whatever, or 50p, people complain and say, what is he doing on the road? But at least you can digital that too to make sure that it's recorded, and when it's recorded, and it's kind of at the end of every day, it tells out.
Yeah, and most people that drive have money. Most people that drive, they have money, so they can afford to pay the toll.
If they can do this properly, not to take away the toll completely, but somehow devise a way whereby people can pay, through the digital way means.
Yeah.
But to take away completely, that is putting more pressure on the mobile and that is bad. That's what we are looking.
It's here for Hannah. Median in Abeba area. That's a senior diocese and some acquaintance at the S in Crossford. It's your buyer, Bruana, and Hayan Median in ABC. Remember, and we spent quite a lot of time discussing about Ajinkwa. Ajinkwa is a fresh baby crowd, but me will be so mulatto. Of course, 50-50. Give you a baby out of friend because we're 50-50 because of Ajinkwa, a mind and watch they say too. Now we spend some time to remember some legends. A year, Papa Kojochikata, any mommy, pa ativo. This week, then we also look at the budget. Budget anyway. Then we also look at a year law school, Ghana law school the way I say no, a whole sense by 499 students. Yeah, they who some who some who bow. We look at them and internet crano. Yeah, about to thank you. So who call it in and then you have this mark. You know much imagine. But before say did you me dear no we crowd like say a big thank you. I am in your ago a year come for 2000 and me ma big shout out every week week out. Miss our message now all your encouragement. Thank you so much. And my master our Canada means this is one of NCBA obi humani. NCT for some anti me ma. Just send obeti and kabim. Right after this program, a year cook, a pastor cook, a beba or the inspirational hour, a beba menu. Bye bye.